I had the first exotic fruit tree nursery here in Kuranda, first one ever in Australia, is here in Kuranda. In the end, it was too cold for me for what I was trying to grow, and so I moved down to where I'm now in Engagement, where I still grow fruits, and still introduce new fruits, and still have a biodiversity collection. But these days, I don't spend as much time as I should on that farm because of other things I do. The current organisation I'm involved in, and I'm one of the founders of this, is called Regeneration International. And what we're trying to do is promote and facilitate and change global farming. And this regenerative agriculture, this concept of regeneration, is actually really resonating around the world. I can't believe how quickly it is. We first came up with the seeds of it as a group of us, Vandana, Shiva, Ronnie Cummings from the Organic Consumers Association of the USA, and others. Were in the Rodale Institute in September 2014 when they had the New York Climate Change meeting, Climate March. And we were at an event there. We decided afterwards to set something up. And the following year, we had the first meeting in Costa Rica. So we only formed 3 years ago, 2015. We already have close to 200 partner organisations in about 40 countries around the world, and that's grown every month. Some of you know that I was the president of IFOAM, the IFOAM Organics International. That was the international umbrella group for the organic sector. I was actually the longest serving president, and that took me all around the world. I thought once I stepped down from that my life would go back to normal. But this whole issue of regeneration, I'm actually busy now and reaching out to more people. Like I just got back from a really major event in Africa. I've got this week at home. Then I'm in Central America and so on. It's, to me this is really exciting because we're actually doing something really positive on a global level and having an impact. Otherwise I wouldn't do that. So let's talk about this concept of regeneration. It is far more than being sustainable. Sustainable is really defined as keeping the status quo without running it down. Now, do we want to keep the status quo?
Hell no.
It's a disaster on every level. So we want to improve, and that's a really important thing, the message we're getting across. Sustainable is actually greenwash, sustainable agriculture. It's overused. Monsanto was the world's biggest sustainable agriculture corporation until Bayer took it over. So that's sustainable agriculture. We want to move into improving systems, and that's why regeneration is working. The other thing we're using it for is as an umbrella term, as a big tent. Instead of being exclusive, we want to be inclusive. There's lots of like-minded systems, like organic agriculture, agroforestry, syntropic agroecology, you can go on, permaculture, holistic grazing. There are so many good systems. And now's not the time for us to argue as who is better than who. We're all trying to make this a better planet. Let's all work together under the same umbrella and actually achieve something on a global level. And that is what is starting to happen. That to me is really exciting. This is the big issue. And it's a huge issue because it's actually an existential issue for us. In 2016, for the first time, actually several million years we actually know, going back to the fossil record, looking at ice cores, 800,000 years. As a species, we might be 200,000 years old. We have never crossed the threshold of 400 parts per million. Got a little laser. don't know how well you can see this, but that's the line, and it's climbing, and climbing fast. Despite Paris, nothing was slowing down. I think what I need to get across is this, that if by some miracle tomorrow the world decided we're going to go to 100% renewables, what we've got in the air there is going to take a good 100 to 150 years to naturally come out, which means actually we're going to continue to heat up. And the last time, you know, we had this amount, they worked out the temperatures between 3.5 to 5 degrees warmer. You know, that actually means the Great Barrier Reef is dead. In fact, if we go to the Paris Agreement, 1.5 degrees, the Great Barrier Reef is dead. There's every chance that this summer will kill most of the Great Barrier Reef. I hope we're wrong, and I hope we get rain, but if this heat wave continues, we'll see the beginning of the Great Barrier Reef in a real short time. The thing is this, is that the levels of CO2 keep on increasing by 2 parts per million. Actually, they've done it in the last decade. It's actually sped up. It was actually 3.5 parts last year, and this year it was like 2.3. You know, despite Paris, despite what people are saying, you know, the amount of carbon dioxide going into the atmosphere, that is the real measure of what's happening, and that is not slowing down. I think what's really important is that we are looking at a tipping point, and that tipping point could be really close. From the fossil record, the last time the world had 400 parts per billion, sea levels were 20 to 30 metres high. And that means the Netherlands will disappear. Most of Denmark, and a couple of little islands were sticking up. You know, pretty well all of Bangladesh and also neighbouring West Bengal. You know, that's over 100 million people as refugees. New York, New Orleans, Miami, San Francisco, London, and they can probably afford orderly, you know, evacuation. I doubt it. I doubt any economy will. But when you look at things like Manila, 30 million people, Bangkok, 30 million people, Jakarta, 30 million people, Shanghai, 30 million people, we don't have the resources to move them. What we're looking at, and it's starting now, is a refugee crisis of around 1 billion people in 30 years' time. Our children, the children here, that's what they'll be facing. Think about how well do we cope with a few refugees from Syria or Iraq. You know, at the moment, the migrant caravan from Central America, and let me tell you, that's mostly climate change. They're leaving their farms because of this drought. Their crops have failed. They'll walk into the US to force their way through. You know, we're seeing already in Africa the same thing. People who drown trying to cross the Mediterranean. You know, they risk drowning crossing the Mediterranean because they're going to die at home because their crops have failed because of climate change. We can't cope with that now. How do we cope with a billion? And I'll tell you how we cope. The world's militaries are looking at how we stop these people. And that is not the sort of world I think we want to be. The thing I really want to get across is this. We are now more than 1 degree warmer than the Industrial Revolution. I want you to think in your mind the amount of energy it takes to make the oceans and the atmosphere an average of 1 degree warmer. And that is the equivalent of billions of atomic bombs. Not 1, 2, 3 or 4. Billions, not millions, billions of atomic bombs worth of energy. And that is now fueling our weather system. And I want to use that as a violent metaphor because that is why the weather is becoming so violent. It is because of the energy. So the storms are coming, you know, the cyclones, hurricanes that just hit America, Yasi, and these guys that have hit us. You know, they're a prelude of what's to come. You know, the didn't make much news, but the largest ever known cyclone, hurricane, typhoon, whatever you want to call it, just hit the Marianas. Just totally wrecked it, but it's not a really important place, so it doesn't make any news, even though it's just essentially wiping off the face of the earth. These will come and hit us at some stage. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think to get across is, you get some parts of the world that suddenly get these freak snowstorms in winter. And the reason why is because there's more energy in the system. So winter storms become more intense. Although the average temperature for winter will be warmer. And, I think the thing is here, we're in really probably what is Australia's worst drought ever. It's worse than the Federation drought of 100 years ago. Why? Because the temperatures are significantly hotter than 100 years ago, so the evaporation rate is greater. I think, farmers are suffering far more, and but can I say this is happening pretty well all around the world. But what we'll be looking at now are food shortages, riots, famines, huge, humanitarian crises. The Arab Spring was started because of a drought, type of drought that never had before in those areas that caused total failure of food and became riots. And then, they started to overthrow governments. Then, we got involved and so on and so on. And now, the whole thing is a total mess because of it. But it started because of food riots, because in some areas, there are arid areas that had reliable food production for thousands of years, and the whole thing fell down. And that's climate change. And we look at the Arab Spring really as the first major climate change incident. And so, what's happening in Syria is a direct result of that. We've just gone in, and made it worse in southern Libya. Last month, Governor Jerry Brown of California, is a wonderful antidote to Donald Trump, and the whole world came to California in September for a really good climate change meeting on what we do about it. And the head of the United Nations, talking about, we've got 2 years to start turning things around. Otherwise we could hit the tipping point. That's what some of the climate scientists are saying. I hope they are wrong. I really do. One part of it, he gave quite a lot of messages, but for me what was really important is halting deforestation. We should not be clearing a tree off anywhere. We've got to do the opposite and start restoring forests and planting them. I think it's a moral. This state, our state of Queensland, equals Brazil and Indonesia in terms of land clearing. It's not something we can be proud of, and it makes it very hard for us to, turn around to other countries and say, don't you clear your forests. We have no economic need to clear a forest in Australia, and nowhere else in the world does either. All forest clearing should be stopped. But the other really important one I want to talk about, and I've been very active in this, is change the way we farm. For me, when I heard that, it was really important, because when I started doing this, we didn't get no one wanted to talk about farming. They didn't even want to put farming into the UN meetings. And for a long time I was the lone voice. Now we've got a lot of people, but now it's there, and really important, our messages have happened. For me, the most important thing that happened in Paris, is I go to all the climate change meetings, and the Paris one, where the main agreement was signed, probably the most important agreement that was signed is called this 4 for 1,000. And Australia actually signed that. Greg Hunt was signature number 1. Australia's not acting on it. But I'm signature number 7 on the document. I'm one of the actual people who signed it. And what it's about is changing farming. They worked out we could increase the amount of soil organic matter in agricultural lands by 4 parts per thousand, not 4%, 4 parts per thousand per year. We could start reversing climate change. And that's the word I'm talking about now. 1.5 degrees is a disaster. The Great Barrier Reef will be dead. Believe me, but we can go backwards. What is really important about this is that we're turning agriculture from being a major greenhouse gas emitter, a major problem, to a major solution. And this is part of the Paris Agreement. It has 32 countries in it. Actually, it's got more now. A lot of regions. Actually, California signed up last month, which is really good. The major United Nations organisations, the Global Environment Facility, World Bank, CGIAR, and hundreds of NGOs. So this is a really good global initiative. The event I was in 3 days ago in South Africa, we had a Pan-African meeting to actually get this scaled up around Africa. We're in the process of looking how we can work with farmers in Africa. We've been having these meetings all around the world to get this initiative working. And to me, it is really positive that we're getting governments, farming industry behind this and thinking about how do we change farming. Let's talk about soil. Soils are the greatest sink after the oceans. Actually, most carbon dioxide goes into the ocean. We already have too much in the oceans, like we have too much in the atmosphere. It's causing acidification. That's another thing that is affecting the Great Barrier Reef and other coral systems. It's affecting a lot of systems. We cannot be putting any more carbon dioxide into the oceans or into the atmosphere. There's 2,700 gigatons. Actually, that's a conservative estimate. Others look at 3,500 gigatons of carbon in soils around the world. The atmosphere, now we're 900 gigatons, because we keep on putting 2 gigatons a year into it. And biomass, more than 2 gigatons a year, sorry. We keep on putting 16 gigatons a year into the atmosphere, sorry. Biomass, which is essentially trees and forests, is 575 gigatons. So, if you want to look at the best reservoir for carbon, it's not trees, it's the soil. The soil holds almost double the amount of carbon that all the carbon in the atmosphere and all the trees put together. And we've been trying to get this across. And the most logical place for us to get this carbon out of the atmosphere is put it into the soil. So, let's look and see if it's possible. Because I get told all the time that it can't be done. So, first thing I want to say is that ending fossil fuels and adopting renewable energy must be non-negotiable. We cannot use this as a way of saying, oh, we'll continue burning coal and just put it in the soil. We have to go to renewables and we have to strip it out of the atmosphere. We have to do both, not one or the other. But at the moment, going to renewables is happening way too slowly to make a difference to where we're going with climate change. So, getting it into the soil is really important. We'll have to get in around 16 gigatons a year to stop the amount, so we can actually stabilise the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Then we can actually start pulling out more, or putting less in, and start reducing it and getting it back to the levels it should be, which is 277 parts per million. So I'll give you some examples. I want to give you a really extreme one. This is actually it's the oldest biodynamic farm in Egypt. This is what they started with. Add compost. 18 months later, what have we got? An organic matter. Heard it today. putting life back in the soil, not fertilizers and chemicals. We put organic matter, life into it, and the desert blooms. Second, which is the name of this farm, has been sequestering about 3,300 kilograms of carbon dioxide per year for 30 years, each year. That's what's been taken out. If we were to, say, extrapolate this biodynamic system across all farming systems in the world, and I'm using the FAO numbers for farms, that's 16 gigatons. So what I'm saying is just good practice biodynamics. We could turn things around. But we also, have a whole range of new practices and improved practices where we can get better results. This is Australia again, coal sites, and in Galgon. And what he does, instead of ploughing up the pastures and putting chemicals and spraying up the herbicides, he uses holistic management, holistic grazing, that grows down the perennial pastures, and then with modified no-till equipment's got to be modified so it cuts through the root system in the perennial pasture. He seeds in the grains. Now, his yields now are as high as his conventional neighbours who spend a lot of money on diesel, ploughing up the soils and letting their soil organic matter oxidise and turn to greenhouse gases, and also the diesel they're burning, who use lots of synthetic nitrogen, which is actually the biggest use of greenhouse gases in both the manufacture and the nitrous oxide, and all the pesticides. This is the comparison between his block and his brother's block. And it's a good comparison because they were the same farm. They got split in half and the brothers inherited it. So you see the difference in 10 years of pasture cropping. And it's done by Dr. Christine Jones, and she's someone who should get up here. Her research on carbon and the liquid carbon pathway is just phenomenal. Really worth inviting her. And if you need a contact, I'll give it to you. But you know what? Here's the question: 168, almost 170 tonnes per hectare over 10 years. That's almost 70 tonnes per hectare a year. If we are to extrapolate that, that's 80 gigatons. That means we don't have to convert all the farming. We can convert a much smaller amount and achieve the goal. What I wanted to put here, which is really important, is this. What we're talking about here is perennial or deep-rooted systems using solar energy, always having, you've heard it before, keep the ground covered. Avoid bare soil as much as possible. And I say as much as possible. Sometimes you have to plough things, but keep it on. Things with perennial systems, you can get really deep roots, and these deep roots put carbon and deposit carbon in the soil. It's actually called the carbon gift. About 30% of all the photosynthesis products that come from the leaves, the roots actually put into the soil as compounds to feed these soil microbes. So if you have a look here at these numbers, you start seeing that with deep-rooted perennials, most of the carbon we get deep down. That's stable carbon. It doesn't go and volatilize and go back up into the air. So this is good long-term carbon. The other one, which I want to say, and this is really important. Once again, we're using biology. This biology has been fed with the sugars and other products of photosynthesis. Now makes the minerals in the soil bioavailable. Now, in the beginning, he had to put a bit of phosphorus because the soils are low in phosphorus. That's all he put on. Now he doesn't need to do that. The biology now has improved the fertility. So in that 10 years, he's taken, Will's taken off crops of grains, also sheep and cattle off it, so 2 crops. And he's increased the nutrients. I want to get this across, this idea that we have to buy all our fertilisers
bio-like pesticides. No, we can start using solar energy, renewable energy in our farming systems and biology to do it, because the fact is, for most of us, the rocks, the bedrock is full of all the minerals our plants need. They're just in the wrong form. It is biology that puts it into the forms that we need. And we're getting lots of examples of how to do this now with biology. This is another example. In this case, instead of having the modified no-till, after he's grazed down his paddocks with holistic management, this actually just goes through and breaks up the roots, lifts it up, and then he can plant in the cash crop or cover crop, depending on what he wants. Now, he has been getting 11.7 metric tons of CO2 per year. And this is verified because he's now the first farmer anywhere in the world that is actually getting paid by a government for sequestering soil carbon. He's getting paid that over 300 hectares. That's a good little earner for him. And there's other farmers about to do it. And so they're good figures. If we were to extrapolate that globally, that's around 60 gigatons of CO2. Then there are new forms of composting. This one by Dr. David Johnson from New Mexico. It's a type of composting that makes an incredible diversity of biology. And when that gets put out, not only does it give incredible yields, each year that they're doing about 38 metric tons of carbon dioxide per hectare. If we extrapolate that, that's 184 gigatons. Another one I like, this is actually just north of San Francisco, and you heard before, how DPI said you couldn't make a living out of 4 acres, so this is 2 acres. And they actually earn $200,000 an acre, and as well as employing their families, they employ other people. I just wanted to say that the reason I like to use this is because, it's not about size, it's about system and design. For me, this is intensive agroecological system. I would like to see more trees put into the system. I think they could do better use of light and actually make it even more efficient. But when I looked at how much they increased their organic matter and did a rough calculation, if we were to extrapolate these systems, that's 350 gigatons of CO2 per hectare. The reason I like this is because most farmers in the world, close to 98% of farmers in the world have 2 hectares or less. And, all the experts say they're not viable, you've got to force them out and have agribusiness instead, and that's what's happening. And because whereas we have really good evidence that the most productive systems are highly biodiverse on small acreages or small hectares, where we stack them and we make the best use of all the solar energy at every level that falls on our farm. The more diversity, more biodiversity, the more productive we make it. Another, and this is very important for Australia, but for most of the world, because 68% of agricultural lands are actually rangelands. You guys can hear me all right if I'm not on mic? 68% of all agricultural lands are rangelands. Probably actually more than that in Australia. And when you start looking at things like holistic management, holistic grazing, we can really regenerate the system. So here's where, in South Africa, they tried to fix it up by having no stocking, holistic management. Same thing in Texas. You get holistic management, Zimbabwe, and you bring the area to life. You bring biodiversity. I've had, the privilege of going on and seeing holistically managed properties on every arable continent. We don't do it in Antarctica quite yet. Maybe in a few years' time. The last, on the Antarctic Peninsula, now the trees are actually starting to come up there. So, yeah, it's changing so quickly. They had trees now. But, so, I suppose what I just want to give some figures here. A lot of people say, oh, I've got no science about holistic grazing and it doesn't work. But we're starting to get good science now. And this is one of the papers. There were 3 properties in Arizona. They were completely eroded, completely degraded. They bring in holistic management, just changes it in terms of the amount of water it captures, the fertility. In this case, I'm just talking about the amount of carbon they've sequestered. And if we were to use holistic management on all the grazing lands of the world, we could sequester 98.5, just under 100 gigatons of carbon dioxide per year. And so I just want to show you how doable it is that we can turn this around with our existing technologies. We don't need to invent carbon capture or storage or geoengineering or whatever, harebrained scheme scientists are coming up with. Just say if we manage to get 10% of agricultural land just to make their own compost using David Johnson's method. And that's not a big ask. And we get 10% of graziers to change their management to holistic grazing. We would sequester just under 30 gigatons a year. In other words, we could start reversing climate change. And that's achievable. That's just 2 of the technologies. There's lots of ways we can do it. And I think what's really important is that these are shovel ready. We could do it tomorrow. But saying that, we do it tomorrow, still, whether we like it or not, we're still going to go through the worst of climate change. And the political reality is, it'd be nice if we could do that tomorrow. Those of us that are out there getting farmers around the world to train, we've got a lot more work to do just to get to 10%. The fact is, for us as farmers, what we're experiencing now, we're going to experience this more often and worse, and of course we'll experience the opposite of this when it starts to rain because of the weather extremes, because of the energy fueling the system and making it more violent. But by putting in soil organic matter, the same thing that we're going to use to mitigate climate change will help us adapt. So we have good science there. I'm not going to read it out. Pictures are always better. This is a winter wheat grown in Switzerland. It's a peer-reviewed scientific trial. It's about year 16. This is organic, and every year through the organic practices, they have incrementally increased the amount of soil organic matter. This one's, they've done about 2 tonnes a year. Here, this is good practice conventional, run by one of the universities, so they can say it's good practice. And here they've incrementally lost organic matter every year. Now when it rains, this soil erodes. It smears. Those of you who crop would know when you see this nice shiny smear, not only is all the water runoff, but usually you can stick your finger through it and down it's bone dry and inch underneath it because this is so smooth it stops water from infiltrating. Here, most of the water has infiltrated. So and plus, the conventional one, most of that water's gone into the river systems and is polluting it. They've lost their most valuable asset, topsoil running off. The organic one, keeps it. So I do it when I used to have field days at my farm, show my soil compared to my next door neighbour the cane farm. You know, dig up 2 bits of soil, put it in water. You know, at one stage they were the same soil, different management practices. The organic one keeps its integrity, it actually absorbs water. The soil with low organic matters now collapses. Pollutes, you know, the water is not clean, it damages the ecosystem, you know, it's got no structure. Now let's go into the science a little bit more. Talk about humus. We all hear about humus. It's one of the components of organic matter, very important component. Some people say that, you know, some scientists say that, not what humus is. Yes, we do know very well what humus is. Here's an electron microscope picture of it. You can see it's a sponge. It's actually a polymer, a sticky polymer, made from the lignins of plants, microorganisms. Put it together. Now, because it's a sponge, it can hold up to 30 times its own weight in water. So when it rains, it actually can absorb far more water than systems without humus. Unlike clays will absorb more water than sand, for instance. Clays are really mean in giving it back to plants. Humus says, take as much as you want. I'm here to help you. And it also, it's sticky, it's a polymer. And that is the reason why you saw the previous soils, why the organic ones have integrity, why they resist, are much better at resisting erosion, is because the humus is a glue that keeps it together. Let's look at, and this I think is really important for us as we go into weather that is more unpredictable. You know, as we go into longer dry spells, or when it rains, we get really heavy rain, and most of that will actually run off. In fact, when you look at a lot of these rain events in Australia, usually around 98% runs off the field, which is not captured. Very bad at capturing it. And because of the soil organic matter levels. Most farms that I've worked with in Australia, but also in Africa and Asia, have 1% or less soil organic matter. Now what that means, and this is in the first 30 centimetres, if it rains, you can store 80,000 litres. Whatever is more than that, it'll run off. The best way to say, if I've got a cup that is this big, doesn't matter how much water I pour into it, if I want to pour a litre of water in it, most of it will run off. If I've got a litre cup and I pour a litre in it, I can capture it. And by increasing the soil organic matter, that's what you're doing. And I've used 6% here, because most of these soils originally were 6%. I put it there because in my own farm, I went from that to that in 11 years. Lots of people tell me it's impossible. I know lots of examples of where it's been done quicker. And that Singing Frog farm, for instance, did better than me in 3 years. So what I'm trying to say is that this is doable. But think about this number here. You get your soil organic matter up to around 6%. When it rains, you capture a megalitre per hectare. And where have you got it? You've got it at your root zone. You don't need to build megalitre dams and canals and pivots and other things to get it there. You've kept it there, and it feeds, and it'll feed your crop. When I first took over my farm, and these are my levels, about 30 years ago, I would spend every dry season irrigating. Like, no way in the world you'd get me here now, because I would be fixing up sprinklers and stuff this time of year with the evaporation rate. The whole time this time of year was spent on irrigation. I haven't turned my irrigation on for 10 years, and I'm dreaded if I I do, because I've got a lot of work to prepare. I've probably got to replace the whole thing. And even now, I'm in a position, I'm going, oh Jesus, this is the year that's going to test me, I'll probably lose trees. My trees don't realise I'm imperfect. My rambutan's are flowering, everything looks really happy, even though we had a failed wet season and this long dry season, because if I check my soil moisture, it's still good because it's captured it and stored it. So I'll give you this as an example. This is the Rodale Institute in Pennsylvania. This is another scientific trial, like the feeble one. The same soil. There's no difference between that soil and that soil. The difference is management. Because this has been an organic plot and they've been incrementally increasing the amount of soil organic matter, I know in the Rodale it's been about 3,500 kilograms of soil organic matter each year. And this is about year 16, by the way, too. And this is the conventional. Once again, managed by one of the universities, so it's managed by, best practice, something most farmers wouldn't do in the real world. This is supposed to be the showpiece. But it's a drought. And no one's told the organic that it's a drought. Because it's got water. And, I think, I want to get across here because I get sick and tired of people telling me organic is low yielding. It doesn't have to be with the right management. I know in my own farm, my yields are up there with the best of my conventional colleagues. And I know lots of other organic farmers who do it. But we have good science too. So in the drought years, organic out-yields conventional. Conventional might get really good yields in those few times when all the ducks are lined up and the conditions are perfect. In farming, that's getting less and less. When we start looking at and averaging out over 5-10 years the peaks and troughs, organic gets equal and higher yields than conventional. The other thing I just want to say too, which is really important with this, think about this, that 98% of the world's farming is actually grain-fed. And they talk about now for climate change to deal with, we've got to irrigate. So that would mean damming nearly every river, draining nearly every aquifer, building millions of kilometres of channels. That's an ecological disaster, even if you could afford it. It's never going to happen. This is the most efficient, simple way for us to drought-proof our systems. We build up soil organic matter. And, we've got lots of examples where organic gets higher yields. In my book, I write these up, so I'm not going to, read it all out, but just to say, there's lots of examples. I want to show you some of the new systems, the organic low-till, no-till systems. And I haven't got time to explain how they work. If you go on the Rodale site, you'll see lots of examples. And then, what people are doing is to innovate for your own, how you apply it to your climate and your crops. But think about general principles and how you can actually apply this. But what I'd like to say with these systems is that higher yielding than conventional systems that plough and use fertilisers, like Cole Syson's one, Niels Olsen, the other one I showed you. They get higher yields than their conventional colleagues. And the fact is, they're using a fraction less diesel. The costs, and the other thing is I'm not using any fertilisers. The costs are so much less. So, now let's talk about the other big thing, pest control. And I think what we've heard today, and I think it's really important, is that, what we do as farmers? We collect solar energy. We collect it to the most efficient solar collector we know, leaves. And leaves make glucose and lots of other compounds and the basic molecules of life. And what we really need to do in our systems is have as much leaf area as possible to capture as much of the sunlight. We shouldn't be wasting the sunlight on their ground. The more energy we capture, the more we can use to make our systems productive. Let's think about adding biodiversity that gives us a function. And one of my favourites are flowers. Many of our beneficial insects, it's their larval stage that is the predator, but the mum and dad actually, particularly when they emerge from being larvae and they want to go into sexual maturity, they actually need nectar and pollen. So they go from, in many ways, it's a bit like this where Alien actually came from, the movie Alien. They lay their eggs either inside or on the side of the pest, and then the larva emerges. But unlike in Alien, most of these guys see the error of their ways and then become vegans. Except for going to conventional farms, because it's a biological desert. They've got no flowers to reach sexual maturity and reproduce and make babies and live on it. They die. Now, if any of these things accidentally flew onto a conventional farm and didn't get sprayed by pesticides, they'll die of starvation. What we need to do is redesign our systems to bring in functional biodiversity. So this is my place underneath my orangutan trees. I bring in a lot of things. Everybody thinks that they're weeds. These bring in a whole range of ecosystem services. The one there is as host plants for the beneficial. So I used to export orangutans to Japan. And they're the most fussy people on the planet. You can't hang them on. My quality was up there with the best. And I never, ever sprayed. Not even organic spray have I ever done on the orangutan. I had to do originally with lychees, but I haven't used an organic spray in probably close to 40 years now by getting the ecological system. I've still got some of them in the shed because natural systems don't. There's times that natural systems go wrong, but at this stage I haven't had to use them. I suppose the moment I throw them out, I'll have to. But I just want to give you examples of how we can do this in our system. All our farms, we have these sort of marginal areas, most farms do. And you can use that by putting in functional biodiversity. So in this case, these are trees that, this is in Bhutan, which is a country that's going 100% organic. Just to work with the government, training. These particular trees you can use as fodder trees for your cattle. As well as that, they're a lovely host tree for little birds, bats, things that eat a phenomenal amount of your pests. And then under here, you can have a whole lot of the smaller insectary plants, plant a lot of legumes, a whole range of plants that will give you functional biodiversity. So these sorts of areas that most people tend to spray out, they look ugly. For some reason, dead brown guinea grass is much better than green guinea grass. I don't get it, but anyway, that's what people do. Turn these and start replanting them with a whole range of useful species. Look, the other thing it does, it provides biomass for compost. Harvest it, It's a resource. It's using solar energy to give us multiple ecosystem services. This is a classic. This is actually Myanmar, Burma. And along the sides of the roads, they have these sort of hedges, and the government wants them to spray it all out and get rid of them because they're all weeds. But when I point out to them that all the actual insectary plants, hosts for the beneficial insects, how other ones, how it works as a windbreak. Windbreaks make such a difference to your productivity. And the other one is there's legumes, there's stock feed, and the other thing I showed in there the amount of botanical insecticides they have, things that you can use as insecticides. You know, this is a resource. Plus, you can compost it or use it. Actually, what I really like is when it's actually used for biogas, and that can power electrical generators. And in these farms, instead of chopping down trees or burning manure for cooking, they use the biogas, and then the biogas slurry, you vermicompost. Just put worms in it, come back, put it out in their fields. This is my own farm. I took this because I wanted to show you that I'm actually the messiest farm in farm. Yeah, that's what the neighbours think. Because I let these weeds grow up my trees. The reason I wanted to actually show this was I was walking past it. That's actually my packing shed. So I was walking past it and I thought, this says everything to me what I'm doing. See that bit of light there? My crop isn't using that. Why would, instead of wasting it, I'm now using that energy, solar energy, to give me multiple ecosystem services. This fixes nitrogen, so I don't have to buy nitrogen fertilizers, pollutant with great barrier reef. It flowers, and it's a host plant. There's actually other ones here. I've got a whole range of different host plants here, and they give me pest control. I grow perfect rambutans without spraying, and you know, with it. Living mulch, grow mulch, living mulch. This idea that oh, it's a weed, it's taking water, is only true in some cases, but in most cases it's the other way around. If I have bare soil, it will be as dry as. Now I'll be losing water because of capillary action. Because this is shaded, I can go put my hand in there and it's cool. Doesn't matter how hot the day is. It's moist, it's full of life. You know, this idea of going in and nuking everything that's not your crop is actually destructive. This is another example, apricots in Italy. And with a field day, people think, oh, how does she let her farm get so overgrown? You know, she's a really bad farmer. I said, no, she's one of the best farmers I've seen in Italy. And I think the thing I just want to get across while I like this picture is that a plant, the biomass of a plant, what you see here, 95% does not come from the soil. It comes from carbon dioxide and water. And you know, that is the basis of plants. And that carbon dioxide and water is put together by sunlight. Well, the other one is oxygen, but actually this process gives off oxygen. So what you want in any system is, as long as your cash crop is getting access to the light first, then you're looking after the 95%. The other 5% is still very important, but I haven't got time to go on managing that. But what I want to say here is why waste that? Use that for nitrogen, for pest control, for building up soil organic matter. There's so many things, you know. So I want to contrast that to this olive orchard in Spain. But if you go and see similar almond orchards in South Australia or California, this is what you will see. This is industry best practice. You nuke it, you plough it up, spray it out, make sure there's nothing green there apart from the crop. And so, you know, the only solar capture you're going to get is your crop. You're wasting all the other. The bulk of the sunlight that is falling on this is wasted. There's no green manure to build up fertility. No flowers so I've got to say there's no green manure and there's also no legumes. So you've got to bring your fertility in. You've got to buy it in bags and put it out. No flowers to attract beneficial insects. So you've got to bring in pesticides. Does not conserve water. They justify that getting rid of the weeds conserves water. That is baked. If there's any water in there, the heat really actually brings it out of the soil. It does the opposite of the agriculture I showed you in Italy. That soils are moist, even though it's the same climate. And of course the soils, there's no topsoil. Look at the colour of that soil. You're lucky to have 0.5% organic matter. The topsoils have been blown away or washed away, ages ago. To me, this is the worst example of green management. But this is what they want you to do, because they don't want you to generate all your ecosystem services and power and solar energy. They want you to buy them. They've been made through fossil fuels, and you buy them and you go into debt to buy them. That's the model of that farming. It's the reason why so many farmers go bankrupt. Just quickly, I just want to show some of the other technologies or methodologies that are happening where we are getting really exceptional yields, much better than conventional. System of rice intensification. The average yields we're getting now in organic is 7 tonnes a hectare, as against 3 tonnes the average yields in conventional, which is paddy rice using pesticides and fertilisers. I haven't got the time to explain how it's done, but that's the SRI rice. That's the conventional. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to work out which one of these two will give you more rice.
Is the SRI rice a dryland rice?
Yeah, look, can I say, look, the other real advantage of this is instead of using like paddy where it's flooded, we just lightly irrigate it, wet it. We're getting 7 tonnes a hectare in Jharkhand and other places in India, just growing it as dryland rice over the wet season. The advantage is you use a fraction of the amount of water of paddy, and that way you don't have the methane, because paddy is one of the major causes of methane, a major greenhouse gas. So you get rid of that, you use a fraction of the water, it costs less to do, and it gets higher yields. That's just Cornell University looking between paddy and conventional, SRI and conventional, showing in most cases SRI gets much higher yields. Conventional paddy, that's SRI. Have a look at how much stronger the SRI plant is. And when we're talking about climate change, this says everything. That's the SRI, that's the conventional. Now, a typhoon, a cyclone has gone through. The conventional has all lodged, they've lost their crop. This is so resilient, it survived a cyclone. And that's what I'm trying to talk about in terms of these technologies now. Not only do we get higher yields, but we're talking about these are resilient against the weather extremes, which is really important, ensuring that we've got a future. The other thing I want to point out too, because I get told all the time, oh look, go organic, the world's going to starve, organic's like usually. Well, in the project we've worked in, we get good yields. So this is a review of the organic projects done in Africa by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, the United Nations Environment Programme. Looked at 114 projects covering 2 million hectares, just under 2 million farmers. And the average yield increase was 116%. So instead of starting with doubling their yields, East Africa 128%. Consequently, actually what I'd like to contrast it against is that currently in Africa, since the green revolution has come and they've got to use all the good chemical fertilisers and the new technologies that are going to feed the world, the amount of food production now is 10% lower per person than it was 50 years ago, almost 60 years ago. In other words, it's got worse. Whereas we've done the opposite. And farmers don't have to go into debt to buy all these products. So what I like here is that we actually have the head of the UNCTAD and also the Secretary General of UNEP basically saying, look, organic agriculture is the way to go for feeding Africa. And that's started to be taken up. So what I want to end up on is just what for me is a really good story. And look at also some of the emerging technologies and talk about what's called push-pull. Some of you may have heard it, most people haven't. But you know, the whole idea of instead of nuking anything that's not a crop, if we bring in the right functional biodiversity, we increase production. So we talk about syntropic systems, permaculture, agroforestry. The reason why they're so productive are actually because we realise you get synergies. Where 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2, it's 3, 4. By bringing in this diversity, we can get multiple ecosystem services and increase our production. So this is maize, which is the most important food crop in the world. It's the main food crop in Africa and in Latin America, and it's the second most important in Asia after rice. Everywhere you have maize, you have these stem borer moths. And so the idea was that you have to control them, you have to spray them with insecticides, but they get resistant to insecticides. So instead you genetically modify them and let them make their own poison, so they actually poison the pest. Somehow they're safe for us, even though they're poisoning the pest.